It's good to see you. We're going to be thinking about Samson today. Our hymn is called Soldiers Who Are Christ Below.
Soldiers who are Christ below, strong in faith, resist the foe. Boundless is the pledged reward unto them who serve the Lord. 'Tis no palm of fading leaves that the conqueror's hand receives. Joys are his, serene and pure, light that ever shall endure. Passing soon and little worth are the things that tempt on earth. Inward lift your soul's regard. God himself is your reward. Father, who the ground doth give, Savior, by whose death we live, Spirit, who our hearts doth praise, three in one thy name we praise.
So, Samson. Samson is one of those individuals who is counted amongst the heroes of faith, but he's a difficult character to get your mind wrapped around in some ways. But anyway, Judges chapter 13, verse 1, we have his birth. And so I believe he's the only judge where we have something like this happening as far as speaking to the parents, as it speaks about it. The angel of the Lord appearing to the woman, saying you're going to have a son. He's going to be a Nazarite, verse 7. That's the Nazarite vow. The father's name is Manoah. And so all of these things happening. And I hope you're somewhat familiar with the account of Samson. So he's born at the end of the chapter, and the Spirit of the Lord begins to move on him at that place. Now, verse 1 of chapter 14. So Samson went down. What we're going to be thinking about is fighting, because Samson is very much a fighter. So Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. So he went up and told his father and mother, saying, I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me as a wife. So one of the things, and of course with Samson, it's like, this isn't Delilah, that's another woman. And so with Samson, I think one of the things we might understand is, as far as fighting and fighting the good fight, is that you got to fight at home. Now, I'm not saying you count your spouse or your children as enemies. That's not what I'm saying. Although Scripture does say a man will find his enemies in his own household. I'm saying you have to fight the good fight of faith at home. When it's all said and done, who is it who cuts off Samson's hair? It's Delilah. Who did Samson tell his secret to? It happened at home. And so we are called to fight. We're called to fight the good fight of faith at home. But also, as the account goes on, his parents say, surely there's a woman among the daughters of our own brethren. And Samson says, nope, I want that one from the Philistines. What they didn't realize was that God was seeking an occasion to move against the Philistines. And so we need to understand that we will have adversaries. And I'm not talking about at home anymore. I'm talking about out and about. And sometimes people are so filled with roses and rainbows that they think, oh no, we won't have any enemies. People who think that probably are enemies. And they're trying to look at everything through rose-tinted glasses. And it's like, no, you got to face the reality that there are enemies of the cross. that there are those who would try to pull you away from doing what's right. There are those who despise religion. There are those who despise family values. And don't be ignorant of the devil's devices. And so you have to fight the good fight of faith. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty. And so we have to take the shield, take the sword, take the armor of God. This is what we're called to do, and there's a reason we're called to do it. It's because they're our adversaries. And so we are called to fight. Back to Samson. So it goes on, and Samson, he's quite the character, that's for sure. But eventually you get to, and of course, God's moving against the Philistines. Eventually you get to Delilah. And so Samson goes down to Gaza, saw a harlot there, all these things. But afterward he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. So the lords of the Philistines came to her and said to her, entice him, find out where his great strength is. And so, like I said, we know what happens. And Delilah just keeps after him until finally Samson gave in. Verse 17, he told her all his heart. So Delilah goes and calls for the lords of the Philistines and spills the beans, so to speak. So she lulls him to sleep, shaves off his hair, and begins to torment him, and his strength left him. So he awoke, the Philistines are upon you, Samson, she said. So he awoke from his sleep and said, I will go out as before at other times and shake myself free, but he did not know that the Lord had departed from him. Then the Philistines took him and put out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza. They bound him with bronze fetters, and he became a grinder in the prison. See, he had started trusting in himself instead of the Lord. But the hair on his head began to grow. And then you have the account of the Philistines being gathered together, and they trot him out. And he actually does perform for them, as they call him to, verse 25. And then they stationed him between the pillars. And of course, when it's all said and done, there's a whole lot of dead Philistines, and Samson has given his life, is what has happened. And so the point we might make, given verse 21, is when we are taken in battle, when we give in to sin, when we give in to pride, and we find ourselves ensnared, we better fight then too. It's like there Samson was. He was blind as a bat. And he says, put me against those pillars. It's like I've got to, and he cries out to the Lord. When we find ourselves ensnared in sin, we better fight with everything we got left. We fight at home, we fight adversaries, and we fight when we've lost a battle. When we've lost a battle, we better keep fighting, because the war's not over yet. And so, might think about those lessons from Samson. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our Daily Praise.